Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It is January 13th, 2023. We are in the Old Testament. We are reading out of the book of Genesis. We are in chapter 13, and we're going to read verse 2 to the end, which is, I don't know what the end is. The end is 18. That's not a very long reading today. So Genesis, the creation story, we saw Adam and his relationship with God and how Adam elected to disobey God and went with the selfish means, got us thrown out of Eden, unleashed sin on the world. We saw that sin threatened to take over the world, and then God decided, I'm going to wipe it out. I'm going to start over with Noah, and we're going to try that, and gave him the command of obedience, the covenant of obedience, which was better than before, but it doesn't quite satisfy and get rid of sin. It was still there. So now we're going to see this story with this Abram, that God's going to try again with a little bit more to that. We've got obedience. Abraham is very obedient. God tells him, hey, get up, leave everything behind, and I'm going to take you to this new land that you've never been to, and if you stick with me, you'll be successful. And we see that Abraham is very successful. When we get into this section, he's being blessed for his obedience tremendously. But God's going to put a little new thing on here, which is a promise. He's going to promise that your descendants, you're going to have some more descendants than you can count, and all this land that you're walking through is going to be theirs. But you got to have faith. So we've got obedience. Now we're bringing faith into it. And we saw the last reading we did yesterday that Abraham's got a lot of obedience, but the faith he's kind of shaky on. He gets to Egypt, and the first thing he thinks is, "Ooh, they're going to kill me to steal my wife." So he starts telling some lies to protect himself. He doesn't trust that God didn't bring him there just to have him killed. So that's what this whole story about Abraham is, learning to trust God. We want to be obedient. We need to have faith, and we have to have trust in that his promises, even if I don't see how it's coming true right now, I need to know that it's coming true. If God says it's true, it's true. So again, we're going to see that God is taking him through this whole land and saying, you know what, this whole land is going to be for your descendants. You're getting blessed now, but there's going to be greater blessings for your descendants. And Abraham says, yeah, okay, I'll build you an altar, I'll sacrifice to you. But he still doesn't quite understand how him and his wife, who are getting pretty old and don't have any kids, how we're going to have descendants. So he's there's a little bit of doubt there. We kind of see that when he gets ready to divide his nephew Lot. He decides, hey, you know what, this is too much that we have in one area. We need to split up and go our separate ways. So he lets Lot decide where he's going to go. He doesn't say, hey, God already told me this is mine. He's going to let Lot decide, and Lot does what God wants. So God's will prevails no matter what we want. But this story, that's what we're trying to get at, is we want Abraham to start realizing what God's will is and have faith that if God says it's true, it's true. So let's go ahead and we're going to read Genesis chapter 13, verse 2 to 18. Abram was very rich in livestock and silver and gold, and he went on his journey from the south as far as Bethel, to the place where his tent had been at the beginning, between Bethel and Ai, to the place of the altar which he had made there at first. And there Abram called on the name of the Lord. Lot also, who went with Abram, had flocks and herds and tents. Now the land was not able to support them, that they might dwell together, for their possessions were so great that they could not dwell together. And there was strife between the herdsmen of Abram's livestock and the herdsmen of Lot's livestock. The Canaanites and the Perizzites then dwelt in the land. So Abram said to Lot, please let there be no strife between you and me, and between my herdsmen and your herdsmen, for we are brethren. If not the whole land, is not the whole land before you? Please separate from me. If you take the left, then I will go to the right. Or if you go to the right, then I will go to the left. And Lot lifted his eyes and saw all the plain of Jordan, that it was well watered everywhere, before the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, like the garden of the Lord, like the land of Egypt as you go toward Zoar. Then Lot chose for himself all the plain of Jordan, and Lot journeyed east. And they separated from each other. Abram dwelt in the land of Canaan, and Lot dwelt in the cities of the plain, and pitched his tent even as far as Sodom. But the men of Sodom were exceedingly wicked and sinful against the Lord. And the Lord said to Abram, after Lot had separated from him, lift your eyes now and look from the place where you are, northward, southward, eastward, and westward. For all the land which you see, I give to you and your descendants forever. And I will make your descendants as the dust of the earth, so that if a man could number the dust of the earth, then your descendants also could be numbered. Arise, walk in the land through its length and its width, for I give it to you. Then Abram moved his tent and went and dwelt by the terebinth trees of Mamre, which are in Hebron, and built an altar there to the Lord. May God bless the reading of his word. May God bless you. Bye.